Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to F.L.O.W Presents this December 5th. We just finished our 7-word series, and we thank everybody off the top who joined and supported us. But this is the end of the year for us, and we wanted just to reflect on how we got here. So I want to bring out everybody who's been in a part of F.L.O.W team and our special guest, Vonda, who was our host this week. So where's everybody at? There we go. What's up, team? How y'all doing?
Good. We're surviving. We're thriving.
So can y'all believe that we have been doing this for just under 12 months in a year? We started around March, right? March, April. So I can do this math, right? That's 2 months, 3 months, about 8 months. There we go. And I'm not school no more, so y'all can take your judgment and go somewhere. But yeah, so we have been doing this for about 8 months, 9 months, and we did it all through quarantine, all through COVID. At one point, we hadn't even seen each other, like at all. I think we did everything virtually. So my first question to everybody on here is, looking back now, how does it feel to know that F.L.O.W Presents kind of has like this space in the spiritual world right now? How does it feel for you to look back and see what F.L.O.W Present has been?
I guess I can go first. I think it's been pretty cool, to be honest. The amazing part about this whole thing for me has been, I love the fact that we have this platform online, but we've become sort of like a family internally. And that's been really cool. I've gotten a lot closer to a lot of people on this screen, just because of us working on this, and even gotten a chance to see the different talents. Like, one of the things that I really reflect on is the fact that had Dylan not been like, y'all, people are bored, they want to talk about something, and him taking the initiative to even get this started, we wouldn't even be in this space right now. And as a result, we've gotten to see people I guess grow and show their talents. Rob, Monique, Chandra, Alessia, everybody's like just doing their own thing, and stepping out of their comfort zones. Like, I think that that's probably been the biggest thing here, like, just seeing people step out of their comfort zones and do amazing things, and seeing the impact of that.
I guess I can go next. So, yeah, I echo everything that Susan just said as well. I think it's great because getting to know everybody on this platform, there's certain people that you would just pass in church and say hi to and everything, but this has really been able to kind of like solidify friendships and everything, which is great. And then also, we've just covered so many different topics throughout the year, which has been great, kind of just keeping current with what's been going on, and being able to learn Zoom and StreamYard and all of these different platforms to be able to share what's on our hearts and what we want to talk about. So it's been really dope.
I would say, like, the meeting new people. So for me, I didn't know anybody really besides Rava. And then through this, I've met I'm not left with you. And then through this, I've like met so many people, and then also the people in the chat. Like, watching that interaction was funny. Like, some days the chat was going off, and just watching how that interaction went was really cool. I love seeing that, and just how we've been able to talk about some of the stuff that we always say, like, we want to talk about.
That's right.
Mo, I actually had a question for you, because you were, a lot of people, I don't know how many people really know this, because Monique was like the behind the scenes producer type person. Like, what was the craziest experience that you had, or the craziest comment that you saw in the chat? I guess to this point, or even like just in listening to some of the conversations, what would you say was like one of the F.L.O.W Presents that stuck out to you the most?
Okay, the F.L.O.W presents that stuck out to me the most. It wasn't like in the comments though. This was, I think, Shoot Your Shot.
Oh, Lord.
And I have to bring back, this wasn't in the comments, this was actually on the panel, but it's just the most memorable thing. Like, shout out to Avery, who, you know,
What?
he said the 12 dates. So I think that one will forever go down in history as the F.L.O.W moment. The chats were hilarious though, because the panels would be talking about something, and then the chat was having their own little like internal fight, and then trying to integrate that into what's happening. It was funny.
What kind of thing? Alexia, what were your thoughts? Like, when you think about F.L.O.W this year, what stands out to you? Yeah, really? Yeah.
Alexia form and true Alexia form.
Wow, the shade. Okay. For me, the whole thing stand out to me because first of all, it was something wholesome that I can look forward to as a part of my Sabbath.
Okay.
I think for me, and I've shared this with you, Rob, one of the issues that I've always had with, Sabbath growing up, we know those, TV shows or those same, old stuff that, we had no other choice but to either just have it playing on in the background or whatever the case is. And then when COVID hit, it was like, if you already went to a church that didn't have like a AY or a youth program, you're just kind of like trying to find something to do. And for me, it was something that I look forward to doing, because it was, just young people from everywhere and just voicing their opinion and talking about how they feel about different topics. So honestly, I just enjoyed the whole process of it.
Yeah, I gotta say that's one of the things that stand out to me, and why, like, looking at your faces now, everybody here, just about, and we got the voice in the background who punked out from being on camera.
Facts,
like, Alex. Dang, I was trying to keep it anonymous, but cool. Put names out there. Might as well drop the whole government. It's just amazing to realize that as young adults, you guys invested the time that you did when you did. During such an emotionally stressful time, straining time, to come together and do this, because there's not necessarily a space like this. Like, and as much as people were willing, like, this was a space where we said a good deal of what was on our mind, and maybe not everything. Let's be honest. Like, we didn't drop all the bars that we have, but like we shared a good deal about the things that we thought and cared about, and topics that were relevant, particularly at the time. And this year is so wild because, like, the pandemic is one thing, but then we went through a season of like protests and riots and social outrage and then political unrest. This is 45, right? He's 45. We don't even really want to call his whole title. We get to see 45 make an exit, but like, all of this is what we dealt with. So
we've experienced a lot together, people. We've experienced so much.
So I will say, like, one thing that I think like made us a good group is like the different personalities. And so I'm curious to know from you guys, and I'm going to call Dylan out on this one, because I feel like Dylan is usually the quiet observer.
It depends on the topic.
Dylan is a quiet instigator.
I'm putting this on you. Who would you say? Who would you say was the shadiest? Who would you say was the shadiest person out of all of us? Like,
Dylan was.
Where's my screen in comparison to Rob?
You want to be spotlighted?
Who do you think made the shadiest?
Where's the Rob at? Is she up here?
You see?
Is this your queen?
They were trying to say everyone be quiet.
Is she here? Is this your queen? Like, I'm just but low flow.
Is this your champion?
What do you have to say?
Listen, and it's great that they're in one screen, because it's chairs and a robber. I'm just saying.
Your host abilities real quick. Real quick.
So this is actually an equal opportunity broadcast. So Monique and Robert, you guys have an opportunity right now to follow to fire back at Dylan.
So while I will say that I wasn't the shadiest, I was the most realist. Like,
oh
wow,
one person you was not going to censor was me, to be honest. And I really didn't care how people felt, to be honest. So I will say that. But it's all in good. It's all in good love. Some of the topics I was seriously passionate about, and I might have come across to some people in a way where it wasn't favored. I understand that. However, I'm grateful for the full platform because it gave me a reason to use my voice. And I think with us, like, we all are so different, but at the same time, that's what makes this group kind of like work. We all have something about us that like another person might not have, or they just have it on a different level. And so I'm not the shadiest, but I'm the realest Dylan.
So who's the shadiest person then? If we being real,
hold on.
Can I say good?
I'm not shady, okay? Jesus wept.
Wow.
I was ahead of it.
I'm done.
Okay.
you just need a teardrop tattoo now. Like that's literally it.
Okay, and the only shade I was behind is the screen when I was working hard behind the scenes, okay? Dylan is the shady one out here.
I am shady.
He's the behind the scenes instigator. I need to talk about
Can I say that one more thing? Like for me,
oh mom, I'm sorry.
I know, hi mom.
I mean you act like the mom of the group. Can I say one more thing?
Right. No, because outside of like it being something I look forward to, just you guys have been such an inspiration to me every time we have a conversation, every time we're around each other. Even the conversations that we have off of Flow, you guys, these people are some brilliant people, low key, high key, and they inspire me, and you guys kind of push or have this certain of standard, not just for yourselves, but if somebody's around us, they kind of feel like they want to kind of level up in that sense. And I think for me, I really appreciated the brilliance that everybody brought and the inspiration that everybody brought, and including Simone that came on with her wealth of like just like awesomeness. So that's one thing, if I had to say, I'm grateful for. I'm definitely grateful for just who you guys are, even though even with the differences that we had, it made it even that much more better.
But I think also too, like the fact that we could be our, authentic and genuine selves, and we weren't kind of like censored in the topics that we talked about, or just our, personal views on and off camera and in the chat and all of that. And I think that's what, this whole platform and this whole ministry is really about, just being able to, have those safe spaces where we can, talk how we want to talk, like how we normally do, when we're not in a pandemic at somebody's house over game night, just chopping it up and, having great conversations. And it's true. It's like you guys can see, like the love that we have between each other and the jokes that are flying and, all that kind of stuff. So it's just been, for me, like an amazing kind of genuine, authentic, experience just going through this whole thing. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens in 2021.
Chandra, it's funny that you bring that up. Well, not necessarily funny, but somebody in the comment that the Protect Black Women series was their favorite. And considering what preceded this conversation in your comment with Araba and Dylan going back and forth, I gotta say that was the first time when I recognized that what we were doing was as impactful as it, or was starting to be as impactful as it could be. Like there was a piece of it. Because to think that we just talked about a topic that was relevant to people in this space right now. Like we have 2, 4, 5, 6 Black women. I did that math, right? 2, 4, 7. All right. 7 Black women. we have 7 Black women, and to think that series really opened my eyes. And I remember hearing the comments. I mean, that was one of the times when the chat was
Live, yeah.
live. It was just, I mean, people had so much to say. We had guests on at that time, and it was just like, wow, like, is this topic not being talked about in churches, or are we just approaching it differently, or is everyone boxed in? So I think that's one of the series for me that stand out of, wow, we did that. We definitely did that.
Honestly, like one of the things that, because Robert said earlier that, some people didn't like what she was saying or, whatever, and being unfiltered. I felt like, and I'm speaking like particularly with the Protect Black Women series. My feeling was I actually loved the contrast in opinions and personalities. Like, and I guess this is because I'm the type of person that likes a good debate. Like, I literally watch like CNN or like even ESPN just to watch like Max and Stephen A. go head to head about something that they don't, that they disagree with. And at the end of the day, they come out like, they probably eat lunch together after the show is over.
I don't know.
But the thing that I actually liked, like speaking to Araba's point, is the strong opinion, because it's like, like this is actually kind of what makes it real. Like if we were all like on the same wavelength and had the same thoughts and opinions, then it'd be like, what are we watching this for? And it's not reflective of our audience because we all don't agree on everything. And so it was actually one of the things that I really enjoyed about, or that I really do enjoy, as Chandra said about this group, is like everybody is like, we have our own thoughts, we have our own opinions, and the banter is real. So like, who would you say, any of you really like was your favorite person to spar with? Like if you were in, on a panel, like who was your favorite person to like go head to head with?
Alexia Scott Mitchell.
Alexia Scott Mitchell. That's that all day, every day, off and off.
I don't know about your screen at home, but right here.
It's so true. I feel like Alexia and Rob were like the spar. Who are you saying? Who are you guys pointing to, Monique and Rob?
I'm pointing to Dylan and Rob.
Way to be original. Sheesh.
On and off of camera. Absolutely.
Unique sauce.
There was somebody. There was a guy that was on here, and I can't remember his name. But I just remember that, and I was a panelist at the same time. Everything that he said just made my blood pressure rise, and I can't remember his name. But he was a younger guy.
It's Avery.
It might have been Avery. It might have been Avery.
I'm not gonna speak about Avery like that.
21 dates. 21 dates.
I know.
21 dates.
What did he look like?
He was black.
Light skin, dark
glasses.
Oh, it's not Avery.
Glasses. And we can't hear you, cuz.
It's not you, Dylan.
Okay, all right. Just making sure.
A younger guy, and it was something had to do with relationships, whatever it is. And every time he had a response, I was just like, walk with me down into this dark alley, because
I think it might have been Kevin.
Everything you're saying is causing me distress right now.
Oh, it might have been.
Who's Kevin?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about because a lot of people felt that same way. Sorry to that man.
What was he saying that got you so?
But you know something about that? It was Dylan's friend. Going back.
Why is it always Dylan's friend? It's always one of Dylan's friends.
Travel on the play. Foul.
Friends of a feather.
Huh?
Your friends are a reflection of you, Dylan.
Ooh, they are. I don't know who this Kevin person is, though. I'm not sure. Black with glasses and younger. Amazing description, but I have no idea who that is.
Harry remembers who it is.
I remember. I wish I remembered the person's name, man. He seemed like a genuinely like I'm gonna say decent-ish guy, but just like
Decent-ish.
all of his approaches and like his opinions of like relationships and women and just in general, I was just like, who do you need a hug? Are you okay? Did no one like teach you how humans work? Like I just.
And so I want to jump because my cousin represents the somewhat youngest of us here. There are a couple of us that are on the younger end of the millennium scale, barred like Gen Z. Like you just made it.
Slid in the door, like stuck my toe.
Wait, what is Gen Z? I don't know what
that's how you probably a part of it right there. Gen Z is the generation after millennials.
I get that, but like
babies, I think
2000. That's not me, y'all.
2000s or
no, it's 90. Should it be like 96 after?
Yeah,
it's either 98 or 2000.
It's in the 90s.
There we go.
As long as it's whatever.
Wow.
I am.
But my question was sorry. That was my question was. Dang, I lost it. Oh yeah, to Vondell, because you came in afterwards, right? Kind of like a Simpeti on the background. What made F.L.O.W stand out to you? You cannot use me. You cannot use I threatened you, or any kind of pressure like that. So
speaking of truth, Vondell.
Right.
Do you see how I'm being suppressed right
now? I know where you went.
The thread. Mom is on here.
Vondell, is there some way you can adjust your volume?
Yeah, you seem really distant.
She sounds a little distant.
Just scream, Vondell. Just scream.
Just come up closer.
I'm already loud.
You perpetuating the angry black woman thing, Araba, telling her to scream.
It's passion.
I'm a safe space for her to express her voice.
It's passion, not anger.
I'm gonna hope that my AirPods will connect at some point. I'm not sure how well you guys can hear me.
It's a little better right now too.
Yeah, just a little.
Okay. But aside from my cousin kidnapping me and throwing me onto the screen, I did generally like the topics that were being talked about and the fact that it didn't feel preachy, I guess, or it didn't feel like someone was trying to talk at me. It felt relevant to me, and that I didn't feel that the other panelists or the panels that were talking had up like a facade or whatever it is. Like they were just speaking from their heart of just like, nah, this is what it is. This is my experience. This, that, and the third. And a lot of the topics that were being brought up, I've never heard in my church before, so it was really cool to hear like stuff that I may or may not be arguing with people about on the internet, on the wide internet, be talked about in a church atmosphere, and to know that like my concerns and like things that I'm worried about day to day were being brought to the forefront and talked about. So that was really cool for me.
So somebody had a comment. Somebody in the comments said that contrary to Dylan's, I guess his summary of everything, Alexia is actually the shadiest on the panel. Wow. And viewers tend to be right. So
where the comment?
My question is, Alexia.
Yeah, I don't see that comment.
I don't see that either. Araba just spoke her mind, but Alexia's face was shady. So
that makes sense.
Where is that?
My question is, team, do you guys agree that Alexia has some shady facial expressions? Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
No.
I concur. I think that's accurate.
Can I just
she's a good actor.
I defend Alexia, okay? If anything, I think she was the best at holding it all together, to be honest. She's the pastor of the group. And
hallelujah.
She was the one who was so well poised and so
restrained. Okay, now you're going too far.
How much did you pay?
You remember between Alexia and I where she lost her cool.
There was one panel that we did where Alexia said, I'm coming for everybody's head. And I understand why she did, because she was very passionate about what she was saying. And I think that was the voting panel.
They try to gaslight me, Araba.
Get 'em. There it is.
There it goes. There it goes again.
I think it's time for me
about cool and calm and collected. Wait, I feel like that's
it's not that she's cool, calm, and collected. She's a good actor, and I learned this while we played a game. I think it was called Mafia. You know, he is very good at acting and making you think something that's not true.
Simone has something that she needs to say. I think we need to listen to Simone. Look at her going throw me under the bus.
No, I was just like, I think it's time for me to come off mute. I've been sitting quietly.
Now, good.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, I'm saying I think it's time for me to come off mute. I've been sitting very quietly in the background, just listening. But let me tell you, Alexia, she just like Dylan said, she got that face. I remember that episode, that voting. I think I may have lost her friendship for about half a day because Sim Petty had to come out. Between Lexi and I think Gifty, they probably have my face on a dartboard somewhere. They throw at whatever they.
Yeah, I prayed a lot for Gifty. Gifty had a lot of intelligence. Like, let's all be honest. The reason this platform is so powerful is because we do not try to stifle your thought. We do not try to shape you in a particular way. We want to hear what you're thinking and how you're thinking it. And I'll say for me, Gifty, like I prayed a lot after talking to Gifty. I did. And her stance and approach on things, like you hear it, there's the intellect behind. Like, as I'm trying to basically say, I respect it. Like I was like, all right, you can't come half correct with Gifty because, like, yeah, she's gonna take you out of your knees. But it was a lot for me. So, like, between Alexia and Gifty, like I often have to pray heavily.
So I would say when it comes to panelists, and I don't know, you guys can weigh in on this. There were ones that really stuck out to me. Gifty was definitely one because of how passionate she was and knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Avery was one. Does anybody have any
also
other panelists?
Because he was passionate and knowledgeable, don't just throw his name out.
Wow, right.
Avery is Dylan's friend. They like to throw.
He was passionate.
I think his most memorable statement was 21 dates.
Right, 13, yeah.
13 21 dates.
I said, okay.
If you want to learn or know a woman, it takes 13 21 dates. Exactly. Precisely.
That's funny. So so it would be Avery and Gifty. Those are probably
Kevin.
my two. Do you guys have any other people that you put on that?
Apparently, Kevin, this random person we don't even know.
There was someone.
He made a mark.
I don't remember her name. But she was Pierre's friend.
It's Landy?
No,
Landy.
No, that's Alex's friend.
I don't remember who that was.
Alex's friend.
Yeah, Landy brought fire.
He was good too.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
good. She was on that list. Yeah.
Landy came with a sermon, I don't know. Listen, yeah, it was crazy.
I tell my kids about the WAP. I said, "Oh, okay."
That conversation got real. It got real.
was being honest. Y'all asked her honesty, and she brought it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chandra.
No, I was just saying, I was like, when you can see, and it's great because we've had, people of all ages kind of be panelists on our shows. And so it's like and when we were having that conversation, you would think that maybe somebody with children would be like, no, I'm going to shelter them. I don't want them to see this, that kind of stuff. But when she came and she's like, no, I had a real conversation with my kids about this because, they get access to the internet. They're going to learn about it somewhere else. So why not control what that is? And therefore they're being educated in the right way.
Yeah.
About these things. And so that's what I love too about this is that, yes, this is, a ministry for young adults by young adults, but we're not trying, we're open. And so we have everybody on to be able to provide,
I got one more.
Different, perspectives on, what we're talking about.
I see in the chat, Landy, but from the biracial series, I actually like the interracial couple. I had loved that discussion. Because what you guys didn't see, here's a behind the scenes moment. When we get our big studio, y'all gonna get the full clip. I'm gonna say cut to a clip one day. But the white what is his name? I don't want to disrespect him to the white guy.
Ben and Alex? No.
Ben. His name is
Ben.
Yeah.
So I remember when I first came on, Ben had a serious face. Ben looked like he was ready. Like he knew he walked into a different neighborhood and was like, all right, I'm ready. And like I cracked a joke, and he was like, he kind of smiled, but ultimately behind the scenes, listening to Ben, two things happened. One, I appreciate his candor and his honesty about his experiences being a white man dating a black woman in this present age, like this year.
He's married. They're married.
I'm sorry, married. And then afterwards, talking to him, something he said, which is I want everybody out here to watch. He was like, he and his wife said they didn't expect F.L.O. and the conversation to be like it was. They actually really appreciated the space to share their story. And I don't know who else was behind scenes when he said that. I think Chandra Monique, or whoever was producing that day might have been behind. And that really hit me because like, yo, F.L.O. is about that. Again, we're here for the fire, for the smoke. If you see it, you get a glimmer of it right here in this show today. But we also want everyone to know that you're respected for your experiences. Like your experiences are valuable and valued because they're your experience. Like we respect that and we understand it. So that to me stood out as he was a panelist because he kind of represented this other group, considering that we are predominantly a Black-facing ministry. And for this person who has a certain level of privilege and power to enter into our space and feel like he received something was wonderful.
So I would be remiss if I did not talk about Mama Dillon. She goes on the list too. When she came on as a guest panelist for Protect Black Women,
made everybody cry.
That series, I thought that was so powerful to have her there.
Shabbat.
To have her there, sharing her story. And, you know, representing another generation of, and like, I guess kind of reminding us that this is not a new struggle.
Yeah.
So she's definitely a panelist that stood out to me as well, even though she wasn't like an official panelist. So we can't not mention Mama Dillon.
What do you?
I definitely enjoyed the politics series. I think that was really good. I'm sitting here trying to remember dude's name. I can't remember it right now. He's a lawyer.
Jansen.
That was
Jansen. Yes, I really enjoyed.
No, I think he was on a previous one.
Yeah, not the pop culture and politics. The earlier one.
Yeah, he was on the first panel with you. I remember, and Avery.
The social justice one. Yeah, social justice one. I enjoyed listening to him. I think that was a really great series. It's just hearing the different perspectives, and he's like, "Yo, I follow God, but you know, if you gotta hold a gun, you gotta do that. You have to protect your family."
Right.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. But overall, going back, I didn't give my input before with F.L.O. and how I got started. It was really just in the chat. My cousin sent me a link. It was like, "Hey, check this out." And it was I think one of the dating episodes or sex, one of them, something or not. But it was really interesting. I was like, hey, I could really, get into this every Sabbath afternoon as I'm looking for something to do. So I was definitely in the chat for quite some time. And then Rob was like, hey, you want to be a panelist? You want to do something? And here I am now, suckered 6 months later. With F.L.O.
Loving every minute of it. So
y'all kept me. Right. Y'all kept me. So it's all love. We all good. But I've been so quiet because I'm juggling 2 programs at the same time. So I'm gonna hop off. But I wanted to just share my love with the team, and I'll catch y'all later.
Bye.
Appreciate it. The other thing I want to talk about for everyone out there and to kind of bring in F.L.O. So I'm passionate about creating these spaces of authenticity and spaces where like the individual voice is valued, even if it differs from your own. Like despite the heat and the fire, like are you pursuing understanding? And this is like I'm saying this because Alexia is like not a
person.
We bring the fire, but like, how, do I understand you? Do I understand your perspective? And as much as like we get heated and hearts pumping at the end of it, it's like, oh, okay, I hear you. I want to also throughout this kind of reflection for the year, drop to everyone like F.L.O. this ain't a one-off. Like this isn't just for quarantine, and when it's all done, we're done with it. Like this is beyond this year. This is beyond the space. And I want every young adult out there who is like tired of their church not talking about the things that matter to them, like not talking about the things that influence you to like try us out, come and give us topics. So I kind of want to bridge this. What are some topics that you wish we had talked about just this year? What are some topics that you wish we covered this year?
Who are you asking, Rob?
That's us.
Who you
my wife does it. Y'all
Who
get
you
it.
talking to?
I think they just, I'm just.
Yeah, I have an answer. I wish that we would have. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So I don't know how aware you guys were of these situations, but they were like the talk of the town for some time. But Pastor John Gray and the scandals that were surrounding him and his cheating wife. I mean, him and his wife, basically. And also, who else? There was someone else that was. There was a young lady that had spoke on her experiences of being violated by pastors in the church. And that's such a huge prevalent issue.
Exactly.
For some reason, we just like to brush through or kind of like not really, pay attention to. And that can be very hurtful and damaging, and dismissive even to like anyone who is struggling with trauma from being sexually assaulted or violated.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so important for us to think of topics that are popular, like politics and pop culture, but so many people are sexually violated. So why isn't it second nature for us to kind of like talk about these issues, but not putting the blame on us, but more so, I feel like that would have been a conversation that, yes, it would have been heated, but it's still necessary. So
I agree, because with that situation, it's because it actually was around the John Gray situation. There was the one that you mentioned, and there was a second one about the pastor in LA. I don't know if you guys know about him. And
let's leave a name. Pastor in LA.
I can't remember. I don't remember people's names.
I do.
Remain nameless.
The reason I'm saying, go ahead, talk.
No, but he also was having an affair, and with the female pastor.
Inappropriate relationship wasn't an affair. It was just an inappropriate relationship.
Yeah, but I'm saying in the context of everything, it was going around in the community, but nobody was vocal about it. Just to Araba's point, right? Nobody was vocal about it, and it was like weeks or maybe like a month after that I found out that this was actually happening, and I'm like, okay, and it was because of a WhatsApp. If you Caribbean, your old family, they send WhatsApp messages around. So that's how I end up gotten wind of some of these things. It was through like WhatsApp way later after it happened, but clearly the community was talking about it. So my issue was, and similar to Araba's, is that these things are happening and we don't talk about them, right? Because one, I don't know if we're just fearful of the potential backlash that we may get, right? We want to protect people and maybe their families or whatever the case is. But I feel like when something is already gone public, there's no more room to try to keep it secret. It's already out in public, right? So I think we have, in order to break some of those generational curses that we have, we have to be open and talk about these things and not pretend as if it didn't happen. So I agree with Arama very much. I think it was something that we missed, not necessarily us as in F.L.O.W, but the community itself. We miss an opportunity to acknowledge the hurt that's been going on for years. And because there's always two sides to everything, but I think we have to acknowledge it publicly when it happens and not pretend like it didn't happen.
I had a private conversation about those two things, and my cousin actually sent me one about the pastor in LA, and it bothered me because I think like Araba, hopefully I will honor Araba's deep-rooted feeling. Like, men are not held accountable. You're not held accountable. And as a result of that lack of accountability, so much hurt is allowed to exist in the church. And I agree that's a topic that we will need to cover. And actually, I was talking to my wife and another young lady about like what I can do as a man to hold other men accountable next year, because the scenarios that happened started with John. You told me about John Gray. Am I saying this? John Gray? I got pissed off about that because I was like, man, like, this is your second time?
No.
Third time? Like, you were repeating.
Are we in double digits now with him?
Right. It was just one time. It just kept coming back up, guys.
Like, no, stop it.
No, it did. It did. It just kept. It got resurfaced. It was.
I'm pretty sure it was a anyway.
No, it was definitely not one time.
Right.
No, go ahead.
And then there's that guy. Then there's what happened in the church, and that, to where Robert's point, I will definitely put on my clinical hat. What pissed me about how the Adventist church, how the church responded to her, was.
Did you see his apology? Not apology. Did you see his what he spoke? He literally went.
Alexia, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about how people responded to her story.
Yeah.
Like, her story was discredited, which to Araba's point is exactly what allows trauma to continue to perpetuate within our communities, because then somebody who is just brave enough to feel like they can broach the topic goes out there. And I'm going to tell you this also, and this may cause upon a contention. I have certain reservations about what is now labeled the Me Too movement. Like, when someone says something and then you hear a lot of Me Too, partly because this world is full of wicked people. So there are some who come out and just want to jump on the bandwagon, right? But that is such a minuscule fraction of the people that do it that it shouldn't negate from the reality that usually if one sucker does something to one person, he got a history. So when people come out, it's because they are now feel open and safe enough to say, well, sister, like, thank you for being brave. So how he responded irritated me, because that alone needs to be addressed. And that alone speaks to the power that men have in our church. We want to say like, oh, the white man has power. No, black preacher, you have power, because in our community, you might as well be white man in corporate America.
Yeah, and I actually agree with that. And I'm glad that Araba brought that up, because it was a conversation that I did want to have. And I realized that, for a while, the conversation was, oh, well, we don't have all the details. We need to do an investigation. And my thought was, how familiar is this sound? Because we take our behinds out there and protest and march for causes, and hear police officers say, oh, we don't have the details. We're not going to arrest this person yet because we need to do an investigation. And we're doing the same thing when it comes to protecting people in the church. So it kind of feels like there's a blue wall of silence within.
Is it a spiritual wall of silence?
No, well, I don't know what to call it. I just know it's a bunch of pastors protecting each other, in my opinion.
The spiritual
the
wall.
theological line.
The pulpit.
Yeah, maybe theological. I wouldn't call it
the theological line.
That's a good
topic.
Pulpit protection.
But and like Amber said, it's just like the military. When women are abused in the military, it's kept quiet. So
They're just discharged and you call it a day.
They're just so many, not even sometimes.
No.
And like I don't know if you guys saw this, but like this year there were like a couple of women found dead.
Yes, I did see that.
Murdered in the military or battered, and and nobody talks about this stuff. So I'm really glad that Araba brought that up, because I definitely think that needs to be a conversation that we have.
I agree with Rob. I do think, though, just like how this year when we talked about the politics and how everybody was very, we don't, a lot of people are like, we need that man out of the White House because he sets the precedent for the country. He sets the tone for the country. He kind of sets the bar in a sense, like whoever is in that house kind of sets the bar in a sense, right? So I get the idea of how people responded, right? But when I saw that pastor still had the opportunity to stay at his church, right? And then go up to his pulpit and then address it. For me, that said a lot to us as a people, that we even allowed it and that we're still supporting whatever the conference is. Because there's no way an allegation comes out like that and you're still given the opportunity to make some sort of appearance, making it seem like, oh, what that person says is false. You know what I'm saying? That shows the power that these people still have. And we give
and not even administrative leave. You know, like that's
Like,
and I mean now I believe that they have been put on leave, but when it initially happened, like Alessia said, they were allowed to until the outcry was loud enough and people were writing comments, which is why I love Us For Real, writing comments under live social media videos and things like that. When people were really like, we're not here for this, that's when, you know, some moves started happening.
But can I be honest though?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the silence from the church community speaks to what they allow in their own homes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I said it. But if you can be okay with this going on in our faces, who knows what you're tolerating behind the scenes? And so you're allowing this to further perpetuate. And this kind of
Agreed.
in my opinion, this kind of speaks to like we have so much healing to do as individuals, period. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't really surprising to me because it's kind of just like,
it was disappointing.
Like for the whole Me Too movement, for example, there's a lot of people. I understand that there are some people who, you know, kind of do lie and bandwagon, but you do see some like men who are kind of like gaslighting certain women when they would come out with their testimony. But often those men who are gaslighting were the same ones like giving some women a reason to say Me Too.
Yeah,
right.
That's
kind of just like
valid. That's yeah.
It speaks volumes sometimes, but that's my opinion.
Araba, I want to, because you just brought up a topic that I am now studying, like honestly, intimately to get aware of. That's, you said, the church's silence on the topic makes you consider what they are allowing to happen in their home. And this is why this year we have talked about and we push this idea of mental health, because trauma messes you up. Let's just call it what it is. Like trauma messes you up. If you experience a traumatic event, if your brain realizes something as being traumatic, it's already reworked itself to adjust around it. And if we don't call that out, if we don't, as Rob used the word heal, if we don't look to heal in that process, we will do our best to survive. But that survival is, what is the word I like to use all the time? It's decontextualized. Like, you don't need to survive anymore because the situation isn't happening actively. But because you are still in survival state, then you are allowing the silence or this space to exist so someone else is getting abused. And we have got to start calling out our deep-rooted things. There are far too many. And I am more and more afraid of the numbers. I mean, I'm reading a book for everyone to check out, The Body Keeps Score. Wonderful book. Even if you're not a clinician, it's something to read in. The numbers for incestual abuse,
crazy.
It is it's an epidemic. Like, it is a silent epidemic for incestual abuse, and that's not rape. Like, that's not just.
It is.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm talking about not like rape in and of itself. I'm talking about incestual abuse is just like, if you look at just that, and then you add rape to it, and you like stranger rape. It is mind blowing. So, Robin, when you talk about that, I do think it is a sad silence and indictment on what we're going through and the need for us to recognize, like, we do need to heal. Like, we do need to recognize that we have been hurt and wounded. We do need to recognize that the same mothers that are ignoring their daughters say, like, I didn't feel comfortable when he touched me, may themselves have experienced something that encourages them to want to be silent. Like, we have got to call this out, y'all, because it's killing us on the inside out, and it's spiritually resulting in spiritually deaf and dumb young adults who are just like, I don't care what the Holy Spirit says, because that shouldn't, like, the Holy Spirit shouldn't allow that, right? And so if it's being allowed, then there's something about this Holy Spirit that I don't want to rock with, and that's actually not the truth, sorry, man. That, yeah.
I agree, and I think even with this conversation that was happening, you know, and I think Araba was the one who was saying it, was saying that some people were saying we don't have all the information, and I get some people's thoughts when it comes on to, you know, the whole innocent until proven guilty.
No, I'm saying I think that was Susan who said that about the
evidence. I was saying one of you guys were saying some people were saying that we don't have all the information, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some other people were saying, if you're innocent until proven guilty. I get that in terms of the law, right? But I think there is something that has to be said about what we do while something is happening, right? And how we, especially when it comes on to corporations, when it comes on to, whether it's the government, whether it's like local, whatever it is, right? Whatever the status is, I think what we do sets the tone, how we respond sets the tone, how, the bigger head who's supposed to have this amount of power sets the tone. So not negating the innocent until proven guilty, but nobody makes a move until it's reconciled, right? And Rob talks about the trauma. You have someone that has potentially been violated on so many levels, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The argument is not to arrest the man right now. The argument is that he's silenced completely until we figure out what's happening, right? So you don't have any appearance to show, right? Everything gets halted with you and any public appearance until the conference needs to figure out what they need to figure out. But the fact that we thought it was, I don't know if it was a PR thing, I don't know what it was. The fact that somehow logic wasn't in any of this. I don't need to have a law degree. I don't need to have this wealth of knowledge to understand that that shouldn't have happened when it comes on to dealing with people and their trauma. And I think maybe now we're understanding what trauma really is and what how the impact of trauma, what that looks like now, because a lot of times people, it's more so manifested now all at once for a lot of people. So I think people are just kind of really realizing the depth of what mental health really means. But in that, I think for our church specifically, and maybe maybe it's our time where now we're the next part where we have to acknowledge these things and talk about it. I think every generation or every church group has had their issues, and maybe this is a season of Adventism to get it just due, right? Because a lot of things we've ignored and swept under the rug. So
mercy. So today's show, we're not going to go as long. I also want to add, just to put that out there, a topic that I wish we had explored, which is what does spiritual growth look like for young adults? Like in a real life, when we have student debt in triple digits, when job, you come out of school and it's like, no, it's not as simple to get a job, right? It's not just that easy to turn it around. Where's your faith in those times when you experience loss and death and dating and life? We covered some of these things in smaller aspects, like shacking up, or essentially living together or not. So those are some things that I wish we had dug deeper into, because it's impacts how we move our day to day. So that was something I was thinking about. I don't know if somebody else had another topic they wish they explored this year.
I think so in the chat, Carrie had put it in the chat, and it's something that I was thinking about too is like music. And we talked about a lot of deep things, and we talked about pop culture music and the words and that kind of stuff and what it means. But I think also just kind of like spiritually and how so it says cover music in the church and how biased we are. So when you go to one church, you have this kind of worship experience. You go to another church and you have this type of worship experience. But on a bigger scale, how does music elevate us or bring us down? Or talking about, you hear certain beats and you're like, oh, it's time to wind my waist, get down, or whatever, and then the next verse they're like, Jesus, God, this, and you're like, wait a minute, but the words don't necessarily match up with the music that I'm hearing. It's putting me in this kind of spirit versus that kind of spirit, and so just getting into that a little bit, and what does that mean and what does that look like? So
I think one thing that I wanted to talk about is kind of piggybacking off Rob's point, was just young people's place in, I don't want to say the church, but just in ministry. And I think that a lot of times the Adventist church, maybe other churches too, but I'm used to Adventism, give this idea that if you don't hold a position in church, if you were never AY leader, if you were never whatever, then you're not doing God's work. And it's like, no, you can minister through your life. Like your life can be a ministry, or you could do things in different ways, especially in a time like now where we don't have a physical church. So I think that's the thing.
I take every opportunity to plug in F.L.O.W and what we're trying to be about. And next year, as we grow beyond this, like we now have opportunities that I'm excited about. By opportunities, I mean coins. We now have opportunities to go beyond the space, because if this year taught me anything, is like church is wherever people gather together and are willing to like talk about Christ. And so you don't have to be physically next to me. You can be where Monique and Araba are, and Vondell and Alexia and Dylan, and we can come together and formulate our own church. And I know we care about action, and that's what this year we didn't get a chance to do. And I know that's something we care about. We did go on marches. That was a really fun experience, actually. Some of us got together. We were at the protest, and we filmed it, and we were there. But I know a lot of us are passionate about physical things, physical spaces, whether it be, you know, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I know there are some places that I'm like, I want to get into. There are some actual things that I want to be a part of and shape and help grow. So for anyone who watches this or goes back and rewatch, because our rewatch numbers are pretty high, like understand this is an open space. Like we invite you to be a part of it because your presence helps shape it. Like we want this to be dynamic. The church has been stagnant for far too long because it wants to remain like it's trying to maintain this homeostasis that is really just, as we've talked about earlier, protecting the trauma, protecting the hurt, protecting the secrets that are deep in. And I think for myself and those panelists here, we're kind of cool with digging up some stuff, right? Like we want to dig it up and we want to see what's inside so that we can choose how to move past it. And so that's just another outcry to everyone who watches or rewatches. You'll be a part of F.L.O.W. Share us your topics. Let us know where you're at. Join us in our various things that we put on in the week. Like we get together outside of this and just talk. Our Sunday dinners, we started off, scheduled for an hour. And that was like, 6:37? And sometime at 12 a.m., I'm still listening to my wife chop it up with Monique, Rob, and Alexia. Like,
sugar.
Sean, like, y'all not done yet? Dylan be there too. Truth be told, Dylan would always be there in the background. So just
even at the end, even at the very end.
So as Rob talks about the fact that we don't mind bringing up trauma and like unearthing things, I feel like this could be a very healing moment for some of us. A couple of months ago, Dylan was tasked with bringing cheers to a gathering.
Wow.
I will wipe away. Yes. All the tears. Don't mute. As soon as he muted you. Oh, he loved it. The double.
Please, Susan, you have the floor.
I'll be back.
No, this is gonna be good, Dylan. This is good. We're at the end of the year, and I feel like it's time for us to turn over a new leaf, like let go of the things that kind of weight us down, the grudges that we potentially have been holding, and even an opportunity for us to do things differently next year. So right now, I think, Monique, if you would like to extend forgiveness to Dylan.
That's hilarious.
And it's live, so the
world is watching.
She's struggling too.
She's struggling.
Let this go.
I forgive myself for asking you to bring it there.
That's crazy. Listen, but I remember the food though. The food.
But you left the chair.
The chicken was more important. The chicken was more important. I had 2 jobs.
You can eat standing up. It's fine.
Right.
That's what he did. That's what he
had. Man, you know what would have been good? I know we have the copyright thing on it to show a little clip of that day because that was fun.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That would have been
even better if we had cheers for everyone. But
Jeez, I wonder if the person's house we went to had cheers.
Dylan,
In the comments, let me know if you ask somebody to bring chairs to your house. Don't you?
Wow.
yes, if somebody makes a commitment to
That's something we should talk about.
Whatever happened to the spirit of forgiveness?
That's something we should have talked about. Commitment. I think we should have talked about that.
Dylan, you be the moderator for that conversation.
I'm down. I feel like
that's a commitment right there, right?
that is a commitment. And I will follow through. The one thing I'll say about this group is I kind of, as we went forward after the first topic, shoot your shot and everything, and Rob talked about a studio, I kind of saw this as the potential to be the Christian breakfast club in a sense, where we can actually talk about things where you're not going to hear an AY, which is Adventist Youth After Church. You're not going to hear in a church really, because it's kind of a, taboo. Yeah, kind of topic where, we get to actually talk and create this new space, and I saw like there was the Shade Room Church, and I was like, the first time I saw this page on Instagram, and I'm just like, wow, this exists. I'm like, well, why is there a Christian? You know what I mean? Like, what are you looking at? It's F.L.O.W. It's F.L.O.W. We're gonna create the space for us to talk about these things that are not common in the Christian faith, and I think we're definitely doing that as a group for sure.
Yeah. So typically at this time we will go into our overflow, but as we transition, this is like my closing. As we transition into our new platform, we have to figure out how to incorporate an overflow because StreamYard is a little different. And that's my reflection. This year, we started off literally gathering together as us as a group, then reaching out to friends, getting on Zoom and saying, okay, we'll put it together. And that started off there, to which then we got things like bumpers and logos and intros, media packages. Like, we have shown that young adults are more than pew fillers, right? We're more than just financial potential, as some churches look at us. Like, honestly, if you keep it a buck, a lot of churches want us because we got the coins. Like, our pockets are deep. Not as deep as we will be, and everyone in Jesus' name, but they're pretty deep.
Claiming it.
And so I'm grateful for us demonstrating that, like, our gifts and talent move well beyond what the church sees us as. I mean, we've done things like small clips, small videos. We've done things virtually. And I am incredibly grateful for the people who have decided to be a part of F.L.O.W, have committed their time and their energy. And next year, as we go into next year, this is not a space that is driven by myself or my wife. Like, we had a great conversation in my closing to say, every time that someone chooses not to speak, you potentially diminish someone else's ability to be in contact with something greater. Your voice, your story is unique to you and it's powerful. And so I want this space to be, my desire for this space is so that everyone can come and share their stories. If Araba didn't share some of the things she shared, there are some young people out there, young women, who may not have found the power or the voice or the courage. I mean, they had the voice, the courage to utilize their voice. Same thing for Monique, same thing for Chandra, for Dylan, for Vonda, for Alexia. So please, anyone who watches this, come join this space, share your voice, share your story. It is powerful, it is valuable. That's all I got. I'm done for the rest of this, so y'all can wrap up.
All I gotta say, guys, is
Jesus wept.
Why you don't do that?
Tears.
All I gotta say is, guys, for all of you watching who are gonna be rewatching, remember, ladies, position yourself in a position for them to shoot their shot. Get your finances, your coin up. An event, don't trust other people to bring chairs. Jesus wept. Love you all.
Amen. Amen.
And Black Lives Matter. Period.
I'll just jump in here and say that I feel like you guys are amazing.
Aww.
I genuinely mean that. Like, I honestly, I hate the pandemic, but I love the fact that I got to know you guys because of it. the amount of talent, and I keep saying this, the amount of talent in this group. Again, I go back to like Dylan and how this all started with him just randomly texting people and saying, hey, hop on this Zoom call. And even the ideas that he's come up with, and Arabim, like all of you guys are just super talented, super intelligent. And I just would not have wanted to do this with any other group of people. And so I just wanted to let you guys know how much I love and appreciate you guys. Some of you guys, you know, we've had like conversations on end, and you've been like my support for real. So yeah, just wanted to say that I love you guys, and I'm very thankful for this ministry.
Same, Susan. Like, if I could just big up Susan, she already knows how instrumental she's been to like me and in my life. But I think the overall flow, she's low key been like the glue, but like people don't really like understand how she's low key. And she's such a like giving person. Like,
she really is.
She shows up when you need her. I remember one time when I was just like going through, I say like a lot, wow. But I remember when I was going through a really tough time this summer, and I was just thinking to myself, I just need someone to like call me or ask me if I'm okay. And literally when I had that thought, like my phone was from Susan. Like, she's been blessed with that spirit and with that gift. And so, you know, keeping amazing. Same for Alexia. She knows like how amazing she's been and how her spiritual gift and divine power has blessed all of us and has touched all of us. Chandra, Bondell, Dylan. As much as me and Dylan fight, you know, Dylan. Of course, my sis Mo. Like, we've been joined at the hip from like November. January.
I met you in January.
Wow.
No.
For 3 months.
Let's not forget Pierre.
Wait.
Pierre for president.
It's been a few years.
My man's. He had a lot of insight when it came to our marriage topic. You know, a lot of things I didn't think about. You know, so big ups to you, Pierre. I know you're not here right now. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff he dropped, a lot of gems about marriage and whatnot. And a lot of young men need to hear stuff like that, you know, because some young men are scared of commitment, are scared of marriage and whatnot. So yeah, Pierre. Never scared. I'll be married next year. Watch.
Okay. We about to have a F.L.O.W wedding up in this.
No, I was gonna ask, has our thoughts about anything changed? But Dylan gave my answer. I'm assuming your little rule.
Oh, definitely.
How's that rule going, Dylan?
Huh?
How's that rule that you have going?
My rule?
Yeah, that's what it was. 2040 or 3040 or something like that.
2030. I'm confused.
Wait.
Okay. Let's.
He's like, let's just keep it up.
No, I'm just. I don't remember what this. I made a rule. Like, what are we talking about?
He's probably.
I would say that, like, when you're talking about has anything changed, I would say that, like, just having had conversations with all of you, I've become more open-minded about things. I can't pinpoint one thing in particular, but I will say, like, in our banter, when we've gone back and forth about things and I may not have agreed with it, I do take time afterward to really sit and be like, was Mo right about that? You know, like, with what she's saying, she said I was. But like, or you know, like, when Alexia said X, Y, and Z, you know, maybe I really need to think about that. So I would say that that's probably one of the things that I really benefited from, was like just being more open to other people's perspectives, and like really sitting with the idea that, you know, there are like 1,000 different ways to look at things. And so I would say that if anything changed, it was that, like, just being,
yeah, that's deep. That's deep. So go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, same thing, kind of similar to Susan. But the other thing for me is that, like, you know, for all of the different topics that we've talked about, you know, we try and have this thread of spirituality through and kind of show and relate that back. And that, I think, for me as a young person, has always been hard to try and speak on with friends that are not in the Adventist church, or that are not, Christians. So, when I'm talking about what we're doing here on Sabbath afternoons and sharing videos and stuff, it has made it easier for me to then engage in, I'm always talking about politics or pop culture or whatever, but then adding in that spiritual side to kind of shed more light and open a door there for future conversations on that spiritual side with friends that are not necessarily in the church kind of community. So I've definitely appreciated having these conversations as a means of having future conversations and continued conversations with people outside, which is, obviously what we're trying to do too, is like we're step outside of the Adventist bubble and going forward. So that's what I've loved this platform for as well.
Dylan, you were going to say something.
I was trying to remember the rule that I was talking about.
Oh my gosh, Dylan.
Really, all I remember is 13 dates. That's all I remember now. I don't know why.
The rule had to do with that.
The debt. Oh yeah, it was the debt rule. I didn't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, with everything, mainly I want to say marriage. That one did change my thoughts on a lot of things, a lot of fears, a lot of things I didn't really think about. Pierre's wife, and we all had that conversation. There was a lot of stuff. I see you laughing, Rev. I see you. I see you. But when Susan spoke about like going after the conversation and speaking about stuff, and researching stuff that we spoke about that you disagreed with. You know what I mean? Like that was the biggest point. Because realistically, you don't know a lot of information until, somebody confronts you about something that you just were kind of ignoring or you were kind of ignorant about or whatever. And like even with Gifty, like Rob's not here anymore, but like Gifty offline, we'll have conversations for like 2-3 hours. And I'm just like, bruh, like I just gotta like go back now and like reassess because apparently I did not know this, but yeah, like that's a really big part, especially with the church. There's a lot of stuff that we ignore. There's a lot of stuff that we don't take into consideration because people just don't talk about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like music in the church, drums in the church, that's a whole series by itself. As a musician, there's some things you just can't talk about for some reason or play in church. So but yeah, like this platform gives you the opportunity to really, speak and learn about things that you just probably didn't know before. And even if you disagree, learn about it. Knowledge is key, for sure.
For sure.
All right. So I think, just to kind of wrap up, this has been an amazing year. And we've put on some amazing shows, had amazing guests and an amazing team. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that's visual here, but then also a thank you to our man behind the scenes, Alex.
Show your face once.
He makes this thing work.
Our ghost.
The voice from above.
Exactly. He's the voice from above that comes on, and he's keeping us with the timer, with the bumper intros, the slates, the outro, the all of this. So I definitely want to make sure that he gets his props. Being here.
Alex, I agree. He's been, so amazing, just running everything. Literally, this survives and this goes because of Alex. It wouldn't be that you see the graphics and just the different things like that's him. So I mean, I guess he's not gonna give us the pleasure of just saying hello because that's Alex.
He said Rob makes graphics as well. Like
Rob makes graphics
as well. Rob as well. Yeah.
But all of the flyers, all of the posters that you guys see that come out every week, that get you excited and enticed about our shows, that's Alex. So this F.L.O.W presents and all of that would not be without every single person here and especially Alex. So definitely thank you to the voice from above, the man behind the scenes.
One more thing, Sean.
And
yeah.
the voice.
Hold on. Big up Rob real quick.
Word.
He had to disappear to do some things, but just wanted to also highlight all the work that he's been doing to keep everything going as well. Even if some of us are tired and don't feel like it,
For real,
something happening every week.
For real.
This is a fact. This is a fact. I came to one potluck and it was it. He was like, well, yeah, now you're in flow. So
when we're tired and we check out, he's there.
True.
That's
like,
exactly.
For real. He's there to remind us. He's like, where y'all at? We got,
the meetings that we, a couple different meetings a week just to make sure that we got our topics, that we got our panelists, that, everybody, checking in, all that stuff. So, yeah, thank you to Rob. Thank you to Alex, Dylan, Susan, Monique and Araba, Alexia, Simone, Vondell, and then all of our amazing panelists that we've had over this past year on the show as well. So, we're wrapping up now, kind of the end of this season, but, remember to like, share, subscribe, go back and watch the videos that you may not have seen. And we are coming in 2021 with some hot, new, fresh topics and conversations and, everything. Right. So we just want to thank you all so much for the love and the support. So we are now going to have our little repose for the next couple of weeks until we come back in 2021. So again, thank you all for rocking with us, throughout this whole time. And we look forward to seeing you back, stronger, as we're going to be stronger in 2021. Love you all.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.